I
Yeah.
would love to start with any memory that you have of the moment you knew you were going to become a dad. And I actually don't remember that exact moment in my life with Boyd, but do you remember the first moment that you were told you were going to be a dad, or the early, the response that you had, the early responses to that news?
We're off and running because I wasn't prepared for this and I hadn't thought about it. And the minute you said that, something popped in my head and I already got like a little choked up right here, which was I was in the back of a cab going somewhere. It would have been the fall of 2006 because Lucy was
Mm.
born in June of 2007. And it was on an old, it was on a flip phone, pre iPhone. And just one of those texts that took you an hour and a half to write to make it capital and to find the P on the thing. And it just said positive with an exclamation mark.
Oh,
And I actually
yeah.
haven't thought about that very much since then, but for whatever reason, when you said that, I just thought of it. So that was the moment.
Yeah.
That was when I found out.
Wow.
What
That
about
is a
you,
good one.
Boyd? I have a memory for us, Boyd, but it's not the moment I told you. I actually don't remember the moment I told you.
I remember when you told me. I got home from work and we were in that like little kitchen breakfast room table area
Yeah.
of our condo, and you told me, and I kind of like semi blacked out, and then after that you told me that you had already told Carter.
I did.
What?
That was the
Carter was
memory.
living with us, my
You were
brother.
the second McDonnell brother to hear about your own child.
Yes. I took the test, but Carter was living with us. So I walk out of the bathroom through the primary bedroom and I see Carter in the hall. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. What do I do? Like,
Wow.
I have to tell Boyd this afternoon, and it was like verbal overload. And Carter was great. Carter's amazing. But yes, that I do remember that.
That's a great first person to tell is
Yeah.
Carter.
Yeah.
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 I should have pointed out the text I got that said positive was not from Christina. Were we talking about our wives?
or
I
the other kids.
I kid. No, that was that was amazing that you asked that because I had a vision suddenly of that flip phone open with the word
Yeah.
positive.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
awesome.
It is a pretty powerful feeling. The other
It is.
memory that I have is Willie, when we found out we were having twins, we went, you go to a special doctor once you know you're having twins. And we went to see this doctor to find out the sex of the children because I wanted to be prepared. And we were holding hands. And when it turned out that it was two girls, Boyd's entire face was like, it was literally like a sheet of white covered his face. Because I was holding his hands immediately got clammy.
Sure.
And I'm one of two girls. So on the way out, we were at Cedars Hospital in West Hollywood. So you can imagine that area. We were walking by a big shopping mall and we called my dad, which was so cool of Boyd to think of my dad, a father of two girls.
Mm.
And he was so excited. And then we hang up the phone and I say to Boyd, you're the first man that they're ever going to meet. You better not fuck it up. And he was just like, what? And I
God.
think it was I just was so like, oh my gosh, two girls. And Boyd is from a family of all boys, all male energy.
Right.
I mean, and my
Yeah, it
mom
was
is a retired
overwhelming.
therapist. And I told my mom I said that. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And she's like, you probably shouldn't have said that. But then fast forward, and when our children were born, Boyd actually was the first parent. Usually you think of the mom being the one, but both of our children went to the NICU. They were born 6 weeks early, and I was out of it for a full 24 hours after they were born. And Boyd was super dad and got to know all the nurses way better than I knew them.
Yeah.
Willie actually knows all of this because we were supposed to go, or you were in town for something, and the other guys came in town. There was a bachelor party, and we were 6 weeks early. So it was like a Thursday night, and you and I were supposed to hang out the next day, and Paige came in. She was already sleeping in the guest room because she just didn't want to be around me in the bed. And
Sure.
she came in and she said, my water broke. And I was like, let's take a look. And sure
No,
enough,
you said it's probably pee.
probably pee, because like I have a lot of plans.
Yeah,
Well, it's
Dr.
probably pee.
Boyd.
Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
Boyd, Willie,
You're
Dr.
fine.
Boyd.
You're fine.
Hold on, let me leverage my B- C+ from bio in high school. And then she's like, no, I think it's okay. Let's sleep a little bit longer. Let's just see. And then she came back and she's like, it's definitely broken.
It's
She
not
needs to go to the
pee. Yeah.
hospital. Not
Mhm.
pee.
Yeah.
So we went to the hospital, and you and Carter and 5 other
Yeah.
guys show up. We were in labor from like 3
Sorry,
a.m.
Paige.
to whenever
Oh, I thought it was the best.
into the
Okay.
next evening. And then all you guys came right at the exact moment that Bob and Susie Nolan arrived in Los Angeles
Right.
at the hospital at the little window where you check in to come back to the rooms. And I was coming out to get you guys, and then they walked up also, and I had to pretend like I was, bringing the big fireworks show
Yeah.
for them. And
I
and then
thought it was so cool because my father wasn't even in the room. At their generation and the way men were included in labor and delivery was so different. And not only were you guys so engaged in the whole process from the beginning, but also these amazing guy friends of mine and what a testament to the friendships that you have, Boyd, and everybody, including you, Willie. Everyone was so curious and supportive. And I think Christina was pregnant too, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
you guys welcomed Lucy 2 weeks later.
June 14th,
I
2
just
months.
remember you having a lot of questions and being very present with me and like, how are you feeling? How are you
Yes.
doing? And I thought that was so sweet.
Yeah, it's funny because now that I look back on it, you guys were in our group anyway, early, right? You were among the first that we knew that to
Yeah.
have kids. And so I think we probably didn't respect process enough. And we thought like, well, why don't we tailgate in the parking garage at Cedars? It's totally fine. So we're like in between SUVs, like shotgunning beers. Let's go, twins. And we're like
with
high
me.
fiving each other, running in with Boyd. Let's get in there. Poor Paige just get like this onslaught of goons, just, a couple of drinks, lubed up a little bit, very excited for
So
both of you,
good.
excited for this next moment. But then I do remember kind of like the reality of it, Paige, of seeing you and being like, wow, you just you just delivered twins and everything is different now. And I knew that
Yeah.
was coming for me. I knew that was like not far over the horizon. It was right there.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, it's probably why I was asking you too many questions. And because
In a
you're
good way.
you were just
Yes.
like, I remember you also being so, I just thought of maybe from the movies, like delivery and labor is so chaotic. And you kind of like looked beautiful when you were lying
Oh,
there and you were your calm self. And I think you probably have passed that on to your kids. Christina's that way too, which you see it in your kids forever, hopefully. But
yeah.
like, they get you the peace that you exude. I think they absorb that, maybe even
Yeah.
right from the beginning from that hospital. And they're those kind of kids. But I remember you being like pretty calm and pretty open to conversation in a way that I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting. I thought we were just going to be like,
Yeah.
hi, Paige. You're like, oh, come in, sit. Do you want something to eat? And we talked about your
Oh,
new babies.
yeah.
It was
Well,
a perfect
conversation definitely calms me down. Like to be in
Yeah.
connection with all of you is what mitigates my anxiety. I was definitely anxious.
Yeah.
But with all those people around and so much support, I felt very grateful. And also I thought it was so interesting that here I am saying to Boyd, you're the first man they're gonna meet, like all mama bear, and I'm delivering, or I'm welcoming 2 identical twin girls with a group of men.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's such a great representation of how I feel like fatherhood has evolved in such a great way for our kids and just for your own enjoyment compared to what was available to men before.
Yeah, I feel like in the past, Boyd, with our dad's generation, it was all like you said, Paige, the dad's not in the delivery room,
Yeah.
getting the cigars, passing them out, and then he's going out and like celebrating with his boys,
Yeah.
which is always like, think about it now, it's a weird place to be that you're not actually a part of the celebration
Yeah.
with your wife or your partner and the baby. And I think I wanted to be there. People are like, were you in the delivery room? I was like, yes, of course I was in the
Yes.
delivery.
What kind of question is
know?
that? Of course I was. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I had to be pulled away I had a turkey and Swiss and the Yankee game going from the deli up at 165th Street. And the dad was like, hey, the doctor was like, hey, Dad, we're doing this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, hold on. Tino's up. Let me just see what happens here. And then I'll be right over. And Christina was like, so I had to be snapped out of it.
Yeah.
But there was no question that we were going to be there, you know?
Yeah. Oh, Boyd was in the NICU and our babies were, I don't know, 4 and 5 pounds, with
Mm.
little
Yeah.
bottles and doing all the things, the skin to skin and,
Oh, yeah.
just right there in it. When you have twins, there's no for dads of twins, there is no, "Oh, sweetie, the baby's crying." It's like, pick up a baby.
Right.
There's another
Right.
baby. So, Boyd,
Exactly.
I
Right.
think you
Get
were
the
in it
sleeves
with
rolled up.
babies. Yeah, from the
Right.
start. What did you guys think of having babies? I mean, how you said earlier, Willie, you mentioned feeling like it's like you think the world is gonna change because 'cause you're in this situation, and none of us know what's coming. There's no way to know until it's there. And I remember being in the hospital before we took the girls home, but just having nurses come in and out. Boyd brought his guitar, Boyd's
Mm.
kind of checking in with work and observing everybody thinking, "How can everybody just go on like it's a normal day?" They were born on a Saturday, and, like, as of Sunday, everything is different. My worldview is different, everything.
Yeah.
Is that how y'all felt as fathers? Do you have that moment of, like,
For
is
sure.
how is
Definitely.
the world the same? Yeah, tell me more about that.
I think for me, it was like a period of we're not prepared for this. Like, not that we don't deserve this, but that like, shouldn't there be more? We did all the little classes, and I had to try to put the onesie on the baby and snap the arms off and did all the things that dads do.
Sorry, baby.
But I was like, I remember thinking like they just like give you a baby, like isn't there
Yeah.
shouldn't this be way harder than the driver's license or voting or whatever else it is? But they just give you a baby, but then you go to, okay, they've done this for millennia. Christine always said cavemen had babies.
Yeah.
We can figure this out. And I also distinctly remember going back to Christina's calm. She grew up with a younger brother and sister who were 10 and 11 years younger than her. Same family, same parents. Her parents just took a break and had a second crew.
Yeah.
And so her mom was working, her dad was a caregiver. She was starting in middle school. She was the babysitter after school, and she drove them around to their stuff when she got her driver's license. So she really had such good instincts. And I'll never forget, it was one of the first times Lucy, baby Lucy, days old, hours old, maybe, she went to the bathroom and she pooped. And I was
Yeah.
like, literally like, what do we do? And I remember like, okay, like trying to remember the stuff from the class. And I'll never forget this. She looked down at her with a smile and she was like, oh, your little body is working. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, that's a different way to look at this.
Yeah.
Like things are
yeah.
going well. This means things are going well.
Instead of sheer
And I remember
Yeah.
panic.
her calm brought me to a place of
Yeah.
calm. I was like, even if I'm not going to be great at this, which hopefully I got better over time, she's so good at this instinctively that
Yeah.
together we got this. Because it was a little bit of like it's exciting. Of course, it's the greatest day of your life, but it's also like,
It's
everything's different.
overwhelming.
Like,
Yeah.
this is it. This is the only thing. This is home base right now. It's not all the other things you thought were important, like in a matter of minutes,
Yeah.
kind of like fall
Yeah.
away in the background,
I think we talked about it before, but it is that phenomenon where in that exact moment, life has been about you and maybe about you and your spouse, but a lot of it's just been about you. Everything has been,
Yeah.
what am I doing? How am I moving forward through the world and what's important to
Yeah.
me? And in that moment, nothing is about you anymore. It's only about this little being or these little beings. And then as the family grows, and that's sort of what the biggest shift is in that instant.
Yeah.
Just it changes your entire worldview to where the joy of it all is that everything is about them.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I get so much joy out of that all the time that I get to prioritize the kids or, you know, enjoy what they're doing versus what I might on another
Totally.
in another dimension be doing on my own time.
There was another moment at the hospital that comes to mind where at the end of the stay, we're walking out. We had a green car seat and walking out. I'm holding Lucy in the car seat. And I never forget the nurse saying, okay, guys, good luck. I remember thinking like, that's the heaviest good luck. Good luck? This person alive every minute of every day for at least the next 18 years. And by the way, you're going to be worried about her for the next
Yeah.
years,
Good luck.
And I just remember like, that's
Yeah.
it, huh? You're not gonna like toss me the keys or a handbook or good luck, guys. You're gonna be great. What do you mean? How are we gonna be great? We don't know what to do. And then that's the stage. You have that sort of honeymoon period in the hospital where, like you said, Paige, the nurse is coming in and
Oh,
the
yeah.
nurse will get up in the night with her.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
you get home and you get some visitors and my parents are there. And then all of a sudden those people are gone and we're in a very tight apartment in New York City, the three of us. And you're like, oh, it really is just us now, you know? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, this is it, us
Yeah.
three. Okay, how do we do this? Okay, I'm gonna get up this time. You gonna, it's just like, and you sort of see the road feels long from that point. Now it
Mhm.
feels way too short because of
Right.
where our
Yeah.
daughters currently are. But ooh, that first week, you're like, man, this is a long road to making
Yeah.
this a good, kind, decent, functioning human being.
I do remember they help you strap the car seat
Oh,
into the
yeah.
car. And they're
I
like,
remember
okay.
that.
And they close the door and you're like, wait, what? Like, I
Yes.
don't even know how to operate that car seat. I don't even know what the thing in the car seat is. I think,
Right.
and
And
here
the
we go.
baby is so little and fragile. And
I
I
know.
remembered, I mean, I'm always kind of backseat driving with Boyd, but I was like holding on to the thing atop of the door because I'd had a C-section. And I was like, go slower. Your whole body's
Yeah,
like, and,
totally.
I'm taking
you have
speed
to
bumps at 25 miles an hour.
totally.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you forget it's new.
Right.
And they face backwards, so you can't even see what's going on with the
Right.
baby. He's like,
Yeah.
is she okay? Is she okay? I can't, is she okay?
Hey, you
And then
guys
get
got to
that
communicate
mirror.
with me. Communicate.
Yeah. Oh my
Did you
gosh.
guys feel differently when you welcomed Willie, your second child, as a boy, our third child as a boy? Did you feel differently? Do you remember feeling
Felt
differently?
more confident as a
Yeah.
parent, sure, because we knew the things that worked and didn't work. But as you know, the babies are different. Like, oh, he doesn't sleep through the night at this point, or
Yeah.
he's better at some things than she was, or he's more challenging at others. But the fact of it being a boy, I think we felt, we were not wishing for a boy because we were so happy that we had a healthy child. But the
Yeah.
fact that it was a boy, I think we did feel, we've said later, like we got one of each gender, both healthy, like walk
Yeah.
away from the table.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that
Oh,
is,
Boyd felt that too. I mean,
you are so lucky to
Yeah.
have, and not, I don't even know that we would have more if he wasn't a boy, but the point was like, we get to have both of those different experiences and they're both healthy, knock on wood. Like, just go over to the window, hand them your chips and get out of the casino.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
we have one for sure.
Yeah.
for sure.
Indeed.
I remember Boyd, like a Monday, like, what's up with you, Boyd? And, this week, what's the plan? And he's like, I'm going to get a vasectomy on Friday. And Miles was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. And I was like, awesome. That's great. But do you remember that? Like, we didn't talk
I
about
was
it. You were just
just
done.
I
Wow.
was just short of like Miles came out, get him swaddled, wheel me in. Like, this is way too dangerous.
As long as I'm here, can we just
let's get this done.
Oh, totally.
There's some
Mhm,
combustibility happening with me
Yeah.
and Paige here that's way too risky. So we're gonna call it.
just
Yeah.
shut it down? I think I got pictures of you sitting on a bag of ice for those couple of
Oh,
days.
yeah, the frozen
Exactly.
peas.
Yeah, the frozen peas.
Oh,
That's what it
yeah.
was.
Frozen peas.
And he's like, Paige,
Yeah.
I need water. I need more frozen peas. And I have 2 children. Our twins were 2 years old when Miles was
I
born.
mean, look, I
Yeah.
needed more peas. I needed
Yeah.
more peas
Yeah.
and water. I was thirsty.
So, do you feel like there's a part of early fatherhood that was your favorite? And was there a part of early fatherhood that stressed you out, that was difficult?
I think the stressy part is the obvious stuff, which is like you're up all night and just keep the basic functioning of keeping a living being alive. This, don't choke, don't, all those
Yeah.
things that you're like, so where are they eating the right stuff? Are they allergic to all those things that you sort out over time? And then your kid and you know what they can and can't do. I think those concerns, which again were more probably for Lucy,
Yeah.
my daughter, than for
Right.
George, because I knew now, I actually don't have to worry about that. She's fine.
Yeah.
She's crying the night. She's going to cry herself out and go back to bed. Where the first one, you're just like, oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong? You can't do all that stuff. So I think and the other challenge we had when Lucy was born was I had just started doing Morning Joe, which
Yeah.
I had been a producer forever, working nights for the most part. And now I'm waking up. She was born in June and Morning Joe kind of came together that summer. So within a month, I suddenly was waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning. And we had a newborn trying
Oh,
to figure
wow.
all that out. So that was
Yeah.
a very challenging time in many ways. It was an exciting time because both of those things, professional and personal, were so new. But I'd say the chaos of those nights and early mornings,
Yeah.
you don't miss. And people say, well, you have these peaceful moments when you're feeding in the middle of the night and all that. And Christina would be like, yeah, I'd rather not have them. I mean,
I can
we had
find peace in
peaceful,
the afternoon.
Sure, they're
exactly.
peaceful, right?
Peace at 2 p.m. is also great.
Yeah, that worked by a pool.
So I don't, yeah. I mean, it's hard to say like what you miss because for me, every stage is so exciting.
Yeah.
Like
I
right
totally
now
agree.
feels so exciting. But I remember, I don't know, like when you're first watching them like school or be excited about a new friend, they're just so, it's such a cliche, but there are all these moments along the
Yeah.
way that you feel like are going to the best moment. Oh, I love this time. I love that they're 8 years old and they're a little more
Yeah.
capable. But now I've got a almost 17, almost 15-year-old. You're like, this is amazing. They're real people.
It does
Yeah.
get better with each.
Genius. I feel like it gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed every phase. Dare I say more? I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's the phase that we're in, but
Yeah.
I've really loved each evolution. I'd say like early on, you said the word chaos. That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
For those first several years, it's like everything is chaos. Walking in the front door of our house, and there's like a kitchenette set
With the
like
IKEA kitchen.
the
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
kitchenette with like 800 little plastic spatulas and like little plastic
Yeah.
fried eggs everywhere and tea sets. And
Yeah.
the Paige has
Yes.
had them finger painting in the middle of the TV room on the table, and like what is
Mhm.
happening
Willie,
here?
I
It's
worked
not-
as a preschool teacher. So at
I
the time,
know.
yeah. So just so in your mind, just envision like I was so
She's like,
immersed
they
in
need
early
tactile
childhood.
play. I'm like, they do not need tactile play, right? Come on, man. You know how I'm wired. I need things to be. I need to be able to walk in. Like I want to walk into like the American Psycho apartment. It needs to be spotless,
Right. Clean.
clean.
Sure.
Yes. Is there a dead body in the closet? There could be, but you're never going to
Plastic
see
everywhere
it.
on the
Yeah,
floor.
it's plastic. Everything is tight.
And
There are not.
anytime we would get a box, I'd be like, save the box. And he's like already, collapsing the box to recycle because all a child needs is a box to paint, or
Yes.
get inside of. I'm like,
Yes.
save all the boxes. And he's like, oh my God, Paige, we've got to recycle these boxes.
God bless you, though. You definitely won those discussions, and thankfully, because you gave the kids such a fun, tactile, and immersive childhood of creativity. There was so much creativity in our house because of you and what you're doing that I would have squashed with my own tendencies and my need for cleanliness. And you're like, no, stop. And it definitely forced me to, again, sort of, it's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's about creating this fun space. And who gives a shit if there's red paint on the carpet? That carpet's terrible anyway. So just go with it. And there's going to be incredible amounts of chaos everywhere. And learning how to, especially for somebody that's wired like I am, learning how to embrace that and get the joy and fun out of it changed me a lot. That process changed me a lot.
Definitely.
Well, I think what happened to both of y'all career-wise, like Willie, over time your schedule got better or you got used to the morning. You did. I think at one point you had the early wake up, right? And then
that was after George. That was another one where so George was born 2009. He's born July 8th and way too early started like July 15th or something. So then now I'm waking up even earlier. That comes on before Morning Joe.
Yeah.
So I'm walking out of the house at, let's say, 3:30 in the morning. There's a just new 2-year-old Lucy and a 2-week-old George.
Wow.
And like, I gotta go. It's a live TV show and it is chaos in the house. But Christina, you guys know her, was never like, no resentment. She's like, go do your thing. Go do your thing. So she's got Lucy crawling on her leg at 3:30 in the morning. She's got George up here. There's diapers. There's food everywhere. And you feel guilty, but she's like, nope. She's like, this is where we are right now.
Yeah.
I got this. You go do that. I have to credit her for that. Like there was never any like, I can't do this. Like you need to change schedule. You need to change. She saw that we were like in the early stages of exciting things in our life with the kids and also with career. So she's like, let's pull both of those off. Let's figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
And then she went back to work too and continued her career, but she was always amazing. But there definitely were those moments where you look back through the door and you're like, I gotta go. She's like, I know.
Sorry.
No, but that doesn't feel great. That doesn't feel great.
No.
Just they're like screaming and it's 3 a.m. But now you look back on them and it's like, it's part of the ride. There's a little whitewashing of history. Like Christina's like, yeah, not great. But
And it's all part of the journey.
yeah, I call it part of the journey. She's like, it was a walking nightmare. Um, but yeah, a lot going on in a small New York apartment for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Oh,
Do
yeah.
you all feel like you have become similar to your own fathers through the
That's a
journey?
good
Or
question.
how do you feel similar to your dads? How do you feel very different from the environment that you grew up in with your dads?
I would say premium on sense of humor, definitely
Yeah.
from dad. Like my kids and your kids clearly are funny. And we want our house to be fun. There are
Yeah.
rules and they're like really well behaved and they're respectful and they do the dishes and they do their own laundry. It's not like it's like this chaotic fun house. There's always been a reward in our house and in yours, I think, for like having the line, having the joke,
Oh,
having the
Yeah.
observation. And it's both of them. Lucy and George are both so funny. And that's from my dad. And like, we're in a bad situation. Our flight got canceled and we have to drive. Like, it's just, let's make that into comedy. Let's not be
Oh,
like, let's not be
yeah.
precious and let's not be angry and let's like just find the humor and things. That's definitely from my dad. And I think how I'm not like is probably both of us is just generational, which is like,
Yeah.
we work hard, but I think my dad definitely was good at being around as much as he could. And he coached my little league team. So I don't want to like give the impression that my dad was never there, which isn't true. But I think just as a generational thing, we are more apt to be involved and to
Yes.
know what's going on in the house. And we don't just swoop in and we're like, what's going on this week? Like I know when their games are and it's a shared thing with Christina, just like you two share responsibility. So I think
Yeah.
sharing responsibility in a way, they're not just my dad, but a generation of
Yeah.
dads
For
before us
sure.
probably didn't.
yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Boyd?
Yeah. For me, a couple things stand out. Creative house, I think that was from my dad. Music,
Yeah.
creativity, having fun was definitely where I feel like Bill and you, Willie, like it's you guys, there really is a premium in the Geist household for hitting the line. And your kids, it's been so fun for me, particularly during the time when you were launching the Sunday show and I was up helping you do that for the better part of a year or a year and a half.
That's
And
office, by the way.
yeah,
You're on
and
that
yeah.
right there for
And I would
weeks.
essentially live with you guys for 2 weeks at a time, eat dinner with the family, stay at, over the weekends and have so much walk the kids to school and do all this stuff. And seeing at the time, I guess Lucy maybe 9, George 7. George is already just ripping like SNL punchlines, and Lucy is like equal parts. I'm talking to an old friend, and then she's like has these just incredibly witty, curves in conversation at 9 years old. Where it's so cool to see that when you have such a great and dear friend and brother over decades, and then you see these little versions of that person in
Yeah.
some way start to take shape. So coming from our dads through us to the kids, I think those are the two for my dad. And then doing what you love. I think that's where I feel like I'm most
Yeah.
like him now. And that was kind of the greatest, I think, message and lesson that he didn't overtly say to us ever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he just exemplified. And then that's what I want my kids to see me. That's how I want them to see me, is
The legacy. Yeah.
do what you love. And if it
Yeah.
takes you, if you jump into that at 20, great. And if it takes you until 50, that's fine. Just find your way there. And then,
And that you can succeed at it. Like you've stuck to that and stayed with
Yeah.
it and you're incredibly successful doing what you love. Cause sometimes that sounds like just do what you love. And they're like, well, that's easy
Yeah.
to say, but
right.
I also have to pay the mortgage and all those things. And I think both of us have been lucky enough to just stay on that track and be able to pay the mortgage with it. So I think we're hopefully good examples of doing that it can be a life, it's
For
not
sure.
just a hobby, but a life.
It's cool too that with us, that it's such a sort of direct lineage
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
in their own ways from our dads down to us, and winding roads to get there. But like your dad imparted these things and you saw him, thriving and enjoying his journey
Yes.
professionally. And it just instilled skills and a desire in you that maybe you weren't even aware of, that just became unearthed as you went. And same for me
Totally.
in the
Totally.
path that really was most true for my dad. And yeah, it's so cool that I don't have a lot of friends. I mean, anyone who's a doctor, one of their parents was probably a doctor that but our careers are sort of a little unconventional, I would say. And
Yeah.
so, and there is such a direct tie to both of our dads in that way. That's cool.
You know what else I want to say is the Wild Boys. Sorry, I'm thinking about we can cross the streams here, which is because of the way your family is and your dad is, which is open and huggy and emotional.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so a part of me now, but when I think about it, for me, it goes back to you guys in Atlanta, which is like, there's no handshake, it's a hug,
Yeah.
And that wasn't like, my dad's pretty Midwestern. It was more, he was affectionate, but it was a little handshake. And I actually could trace it back to whenever, we started hanging out in Atlanta 25 years ago, which is like, if you see somebody you love, you hug them. And by the way, you tell them you love them. And like,
Yeah.
that was a little bit foreign maybe for not with my mom, but with our family, probably with guys. And now it's like, it's you guys, the McDonnell ethos is in our family in a way that I take for granted now, but you guys probably put that in there. So shout out to Big Rick pushing it down to you
I love
guys and then
it.
over into the Geist family. And still my dad, like I'll see my dad and he'll be like, how you doing? And put his hand, I just smack his hand away and like get in for that. I'm like, come on, how long we been doing this? It's just a reflex. He and his dad probably were not as affectionate. So you're like, I love showing that now to George and Lucy. That's their instinct. They don't like, you hug somebody you love and you tell them you love them. If you love them, tell them you love them.
It just
Thanks
means
for
we're
that,
doing our
Boyle.
jobs. Oh man, thank you for saying that. It's you were an easy target.
True.
I think that we broke you
You're
very
like, that guy
quickly.
needs a hug.
Yeah, and the first time you're like, oh God, and then you never looked back.
Was there a moment with your fathers, we were talking about your shared professional paths, where you lean into advice? Did you ask Bill Geist about broadcasting, Willie? Did you seek him out? And was there a moment in your music career, Boyd, where you leaned into Richard? Or, you both of your jobs are not exactly like your father's, but there's that overlap. So I'm just curious if you sought guidance and wisdom in a conscious way, or if it was just more of I'm going along this path. I get that my dad did something like this as well. But yeah, tell us about that. I'm curious about that.
think I never had an explicit conversation about it, which is amazing when you think about it. But I watched, like Boyd said, I watched my dad
Yeah.
enjoy his job. He traveled, he met interesting people. He always came home with a story about where he'd been. He got to go to the Olympics. He did all this
Yeah.
cool stuff. And even I would notice when the adults would come over, like at the cocktail party, like the crowd was kind of around him because he was telling a story. And we lived in a town where it was a lot of finance and bankers and stuff like that. And they, he always had the most colorful tale at the party.
Yeah.
So I saw that he loved his work in a way I don't think other dads did, or they didn't show that they did. And then I think it wasn't until the summer before my senior year at Vanderbilt that I did an internship at the political unit at CBS News just to see what it was like. And I wrote for the school paper in high school and all that. So I was clearly kind of into it, that I was like, this is it. But that wasn't him telling me this is it. In fact, when I graduated from college, he was like, I think what he was saying without saying it was like, can be a hard business if you're a order, or, it doesn't always lead to where you want it to lead. And it's a lot of work and kind of grunt work sometimes, which was true, but it's rewarding in the end. But he wanted me to make sure about it first. So I remember he set me up with a lunch with one of our family friends who worked on Wall Street. And then they sent me up to Hartford, Connecticut to meet our insurance agent. They're like Northwestern Mutual.
Willie
I swear
Geist
to God,
insurance.
never forget it. Super nice guy. I remember sitting in there and he's talking about like actuarial tables. And I was like, this ain't it. I'm going to be very polite and listen and shake hands and thank you for the meeting. But whoa, I think my dad was saying like, there are faster ways to comfortable living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If like if the goal is to like have a big house in the
And have
suburbs,
security.
make money
Yeah.
and everything's okay, that's a lot easier way to do it.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
just didn't interest me. And those people were nice to show me their careers, but this just felt more interesting. So then I
Yeah.
graduated, moved to Atlanta and worked for CNN and started The Climb from a production assistant and did every job you can do in TV. So I think just long way of saying just by his example,
Yes.
not by any like, here's what it's like. And here
Yeah.
he was basically telling me that by offering me other alternatives.
Sure. What about your dad, Boyd?
Well, my dad was a banker for like 25, 30 years. And so I sort of saw both sides of it, where he had this traditional job. He traveled all the time. While he was on the road, he was spending every night at jazz clubs and meeting all these people. And that was his passion from day one. And it just kept growing and growing. And he sort of used his day job as a vehicle to kind of do that and build that, in the sense that he was just out every night. He traveled probably 4 days a week. So he was gone a lot. So yeah, when certainly seeing him once he started the label, I was an adult by that point. So it was a later lesson in really seeing his joy in that space and how much that defined everything for him. But I think that like when I got to the point where I was graduating college, I remember even in college, I interned at Fidelity for this stockbroker. Cause I was like, over the summer, one summer I interned at A.G. Edwards where my dad worked. And by that point he was already didn't like the job anymore. He didn't really express that to us. Yeah. But I remember these internships that I did. I was like, well, that's probably what I should do. Right. Cause my dad's doing it. And it was very clear to me. It was like the insurance sales meeting. I was like, oh God, this is awful. I have to wear these same khakis every day. Well, you can actually get multiple pairs of khakis, but I never had an overt conversation with my dad either. But one moment stuck in my mind in terms of when you asked that question, Paige, was when I graduated college. I moved to LA. I got a job at Sony in their research department for the TV side, which sort of later led to a big chunk of my career. But at the time I was, 23 living out here, and my buddies that were still playing music that were a grade below me were in Nashville, and they were sending me tapes. And they say, my best buddy, Ed, was like, move back. You got to come back and play with us. And so I remember calling my dad. I had a good job. I was like in the place where that job could go. And there was a clear path ahead of me at Sony. I said, Dad, what do you this is what my choice is. And without hesitation, he said, move back and play.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if you want to play music, move back and play music. In fact, he wasn't telling me to do it. He was saying, if that's what you listen to your gut and listen to your heart, and don't worry about whatever you think you should do. Like, don't worry about the convention of you have this job, you should keep the job. And I think that defined a lot for me. I mean, it set off the next until now.
Well, and also one of the things it makes me think of is that was an explicit conversation, and he verbalized that, reflected that back to you. But what you guys are both saying is just the power of the role modeling. It's just the power of them. And I have to remind myself about that because y'all know I like to talk and I like a good lecture and I like to teach. And so I find myself launching into some idea that I think they should know, and you can see them zoning out. And I have to lean back into, it doesn't matter what we say. I mean, it does. I want to be explicit about boundaries and expectations and all that. But really, what the kids get at the end, all of us could share this. We could all say this as adults. It's who your parents are that's influencing you. It's absorbing them. It's watching them. That kids watch us so much. And I don't know if you guys have this response as fathers, but when I see one of my kids do something like me, it's like, oh my gosh, there's that habit, or like there's that mannerism, or when Mimi will like grunt because she's frustrated. That's exactly how I am. Like I'd have no fine motor skills, so I can't get the plug in. And I'm like, oh, I can't get the plug in. That's exactly how she is if she's trying to like.
We're talking
flip
about just a basic three-prong plug also.
They can be tricky.
Well, not
for
not
principles.
everyone plays guitar and, like, practices fine motor, skills.
By the way, I'm exactly this. Christina always says I'm just blunt force on everything. So like if there's like a cord that's tangled,
That's
and I just pull it
yeah.
and make the knot tighter and much worse. And then I'll see same thing like Lucy. Otherwise, like she'll just be like, the thing doesn't work. And Christina's like, where's your dad?
Oh,
There
I
he is.
know. Yeah.
She's like,
There he
that
is.
was 100% you. Yeah, it just came from Lucy. And she's like, Lucy,
Oh.
pull it out of here and look, it opened. Go
Yeah.
is not going to make it better. Or
I
throwing
love
against the
it.
wall sometimes. Does that help? No, it doesn't help. But
Yeah.
yeah, I see that stuff too, for sure.
Well, now that you guys have made it through, you both had some kind of gnarly starts to your professional careers where you were digging deep and Boyd was working on Saturdays and working all the time, really. Now that you are through that and you can look back and you have a better perspective about family life, about work-life balance, and how that's really a conversation. It's not a fixed point. If you could go back in time and be the man you are now and know what you know and have the emotional insight that you have, how would it change your earlier fatherhood days? What would be different?
I've had this conversation not too long ago with Christina that I feel not that I did everything right back then, but I feel lucky to have figured out early on that the most important thing was being there.
Yeah.
Because some men I know who I've talked to even about it, it's too late. And they've told me in conversations, I wish I'd been there. I wish I'd been there. Now that's a hard thing to do when you're rising in your career and you feel like, oh, I should go to that event that night. I should go to that party. I should go to that meeting. I need to do all the things or someone's going to pass me. So I guess if there was anything I'd do differently, it would just be to tell myself that you can say no once in a while. And on the scale, it should always weigh toward the kids and the family, which I really do feel like I figured out early on. I feel so lucky to have done that I don't think my kids will ever think, gosh, dad wasn't around for that.
Yeah.
And to some extent, it's like the opposite. And maybe part of this was COVID when we were so on top of each other. Sometimes Christina are like, do we like know too much about our kids? Are we too
Yes.
involved?
We have
I've
the
had
same
that same thought.
conversation.
I
all the
really
Yes.
feel that way. Like my dad didn't ride every up
Yeah.
and down of my day.
Totally.
Like George will come home and I'll be like,
So
how was
true.
it? He's like, it was fine. I'm like, gosh, what happened to school?
Yes. I feel the same
It was
way.
fine. I just didn't want to like tell you the story my whole day. You know what I mean? Then every little thing that should just go into the ether when you're around as much as we are becomes something. And Christina's really good at like, dude, that's
Yeah.
nothing. Let it go. But
Yeah.
so I guess that's a nice problem to have that we're around so much that we really are like, I really know what's going on in their lives. But I guess I would just say I could even probably have said no to things a little more. But that's hard too, because in the moment you're going, I don't know, feels like I kind of need to do that. And
Yeah.
I need to work that holiday and I need to go there. Hey, they're having me fill on the Today Show on Christmas. Like that's a big deal to fill on the Today
Yeah.
Show. Okay. So whatever our Christmas plan was, I'm going to do this instead. So I don't think I would trade that stuff in because I don't think either of my kids will ever say that I wasn't there. And that is right. That's the deathbed moment they tell you about.
Yeah.
No one ever says, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. They say, I wish I'd spent more time with my family.
Yeah.
And I rest easy knowing that I really have been present, especially in the last several years, but I think really from the beginning. So
Yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is I would change nothing and I was perfect.
Yeah, that's my answer too.
Yeah.
Your kids are gonna
Uh,
listen to this when they're 40-year-old.
Yeah.
40-year-olds will be
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
How delusional were these guys? Yeah, no, I think it's very much the same for me. If I were to go back, I think in those early years, and I don't think my kids felt it. I think my kids have definitely, like yours, Willie, were around a lot. My dad was not around a lot. And I know my dad loved us a lot, and he made that very clear all the time. But he was really not around a lot. He would catch, my wrestling matches and try to horribly video you'd hear him yelling and he would like be on the mat and then he would go try to get the scoreboard but he couldn't find it through the viewfinder and then he's just yelling, go buddy. Yeah. All right, buddy. And then he would come back to the mat as like the match is over.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
pinned.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Whereas I like, I'm like, Miles, do you need me to stay at practice and watch you guys? Or,
Right.
he's like,
Exactly.
no,
I know.
I don't. I don't.
Right.
So yeah, but I think it would just be for me really, it's just being more present at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like I felt like, and it was career stuff and it was stress that you do need to sort of build the house and feel good
Yeah.
about the fact you're sort of creating the runway for your family. So there's that. But I think that my advice to myself would be leave the phone in a drawer and then go and do bedtime and don't worry about whatever else is happening at the office. It's not important. So yeah, that's kind of it. I do feel like I've been around a lot from the beginning, thankfully, and now much more thanks to my job and working for myself and having that flexibility. Like I won't miss a game. I won't miss whatever. I want to be at these, certainly in the last 5, 6 years when it all starts becoming much more real and finite.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
really starts to, but I do feel like I caught that early. I don't feel like I'm late to the game. I feel like my kids have had more of me than they need.
Your
And
best friends. Your
yeah,
best friends. Willie, this is Boyd's latest narrative that he's the girl's best friend.
Oh, I like
So,
it.
like,
yeah.
the Billie Eilish album just dropped, so Boyd's, like, listening to all the
Ooh.
tracks and, like,
Nice.
which is
Oh
your
yeah.
favorite track? Best friend, and
3
when
best
all
friends.
of their
And how are
friends are
they
over.
responding to
They
that
love it
narrative?
actually. They
They
kinda
do.
let me in, they teach me the lingo, their friends come over, they
Yeah, it's
teach
a
me
whole
the
thing.
dances and the lingo.
Getting like Riz and all that stuff.
Riz,
Oh,
bussin',
yeah.
not sussin', all the
I got one this weekend called Type. You guys got Type?
Ooh.
It's like
No.
you're saying like that's some that's some gangster type shit or whatever. Instead
Uh-uh.
of going through all that, you say that's Type.
Oh,
Like
Oh.
that's
I like
that's
that.
yeah,
Oh,
it's I don't
gosh.
quite
Un
have a handle on it yet, as you can tell, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no,
incorporate as soon as I understand it.
that's
So
really valid.
If
Right.
your, fathers were here on this call with us, what do you think they would say they are most proud of? What aspect of your life are they most proud of?
first of all, he'd never be able to figure out this software, so he would not call.
My dad would be on a yellow legal pad writing down, like, when does this thing start?
My dad would butt dial me on speakerphone, yelling at my mom that I can't figure out the goddamn thing. He sent me this goddamn thing. Dad, you trying to call me? No, no. A 37-minute message on my voicemail from
Whenever stuff like that
Lincoln.
happens, Willie, I always say to Boyd, "We're gonna be the same way. We're gonna be the same way." I mean,
Oh,
Oh,
like,
for
yeah.
sure.
it's just all coming down the
Why
pipeline
isn't
for
my
us.
ocular implant working for this call with
My
Miles?
chapter
God damn it.
not
Paige, it's not working.
won't connect to the Bluetooth. Golly. Wait, what was it? Oh, who would they be most
What
proud
would
of?
he be proud of? What aspect of your life?
I think
Or
the
just any
way
part
our
of your life?
the way our children to this point have turned out. I think like the career stuff is just gravy, and he is proud in his way. He's because like you said, it is totally different than what he has done. So
Yeah.
it's in a different place and a different network and all that. And so I think he respects and appreciates that side of it. But what really he's proud of and brings some joy is, our kids, because we were so lucky that my parents in New York lived 3 blocks away from us when they
Yeah.
were born. So my mom was 3 days a week was our babysitter, so my kids grew up in their apartment and they were so close,
Yeah.
and they're so lucky still to have 4 living grandparents. And Christina's parents are in New Jersey, so they're, 45 minutes away. And so he has seen it literally from day one. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
picture of them leaving their apartment with a bottle of Veuve Click on
Nice.
June 15th, 2007 to come to the hospital. They took a selfie, or someone took their
It's so
picture that we had in
cute.
our house. And
Yeah.
so his genuine enthusiasm and joy for them, and he feels about them the way we do, which is you watch them grow and you just marvel at every step along the way. And
Yeah.
George plays the drums so well, and that's been a whole fascinating thing. In fact, George, in a couple of days, is giving a talk about it at his school about
Nice.
how this music thing that he has, how it has connected him with people in his life. And one of them is my dad will come to his he has these shows at bars. They play at Irish pubs.
Nice.
In some of the guys, and they'll do like a Led Zeppelin unit. Like their last couple ago was a Led Zeppelin unit, and my dad will come to the show. And as I said, he's very Midwestern, not a hugger, not a crier, all that stuff. And they're playing, God, I wish I could remember which song it was. Might have been like Whole Lotta Love or some huge Zeppelin song. And at first my dad is singing along enthusiastically. And then I look over and he's got like a tear coming down his face. And you're like, oh, wow, this is like hitting him in some way that I thought he'd just be like, that was awesome. Zeppelin kicks ass. And then you talk to him afterward and he gets George and he says, you know, when I was in Vietnam, we had no connection to home except like these 4 records. And like that was one of the records. And so
Wow.
he's feeling that, first of all, he survived Vietnam, had me, I had George. And George is now playing the music that helped him survive. It's like this whole thing, and that's the power. So that's beyond proud. That's like, God, like my family legacy is continuing up there. My grandson's playing this music, and then Lucy playing in a game or doing something amazing at school. It's so fun to watch how truly, genuinely proud he is of his grandkids, you know, not just as like on the sideline of the game, but in some really profound way. Like, I've known you since the day you were born and look at you now kind of thing. So I think
what a beautiful experience for
Amazing.
your dad. I'm so glad
Amazing,
he's
and
gotten that in his life.
Yeah, and
Really
that's what music
meaningful.
can do, as Boyd knows.
Yeah, everybody's life is so unique and different, and he's getting that. It's a beautiful thing for him.
Yeah,
What
and a
a
good reward for George, like feedback, like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
music isn't just like fun, it's something else entirely that can reach people in a deep place.
Change your life.
Yeah. What about Pops? What would Richard say about your life, Boyd? What would he be excited about?
The first thing that comes to mind for me, I think, is that he would just be proud of my relationships, like my relationship with you,
Yeah.
my relationship with you, Willie, and my boys, and my relationship with my brothers, which nothing gave him more joy than being around
That is
Carter
true.
and Clayton and me and you and the other guys. Like, that was when he was at his most liberated. Like, just like he was so joyful and so loud and so boisterous when he got to be around us and Carter and Clayton and the guys and see how much, I mean, that's what he loved. He loved having fun. So I think that seeing how much fun I'm having in my life, my kids, with my day-to-day, with you, with my friends, I think is kind of where he would feel most proud. And I think as a dad, you know, like you said before, Willie, we're going to worry about the kids for 60 years, God willing. And so you want everything to work out, and you want everything to be great. You want them to have all the opportunities and everything, you know, make sure that it's all level playing field and fair. They're getting their fair shot. You know, it's like
protective.
all of that comes into play, but really you want to see them happy and enjoying their life in whatever shape that takes. And I think relationships are such a big part of that, but it's at the root of it all. It's just, you know, and you get better perspective on this as we get older, of like, for ourselves, well, what is happiness? What is it really? Well, happiness is being with my kids. And happiness is being at home on a Friday night, and maybe the kids come in and out. Maybe I'm just with Paige. Maybe, you know, Miles is eating like 12 chicken breasts. That gives me a lot of happiness. And
by the way, that stresses me out. And Boyd is like, oh my God, this is amazing. He just made 4 eggs. And I'm like, how is he eating this much? And Boyd's like, it's amazing.
How about right after the huge family dinner, you're like, all right, dishes are done. George is pouring a bowl of like Honey Nut Cheerios, that big, like a gallon of milk going in it. And you're like, we just ate immediately. Like, you had unlimited food just now. And then like just hopping in here.
Oh,
then
God.
the freezer goes open. Here's how this looks good. You know, it's just 14-year-old bottomless pit.
So joyful in watching that. Ryan came in the other day, and Miles had like a mass, like a bowl, like a salad bowl for a family, like taking from his uncle. He fills that with rice, like 3-4 chicken breasts, cracked egg,
Sure.
fried eggs all over it. And Ryan says, "Miles, that's a lot of food." And his response, he goes, "It's bulk seasoned." Because he's started lifting now, so I was in the other room just like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes. Yeah,
Uh,
George started getting the powder, whatever. I don't even
Oh,
know. I was
yeah.
like, let me look at that. I think, is that okay? Is that made by a certified company? So you just scooping chocolate. I hear the blender's always going, what are we putting in there? Just like, you're throwing
Don't
stuff
worry,
in,
Dad.
bulking up.
This is a difference in Boyd's fatherhood. He mentioned the little kitchen tea set thing that we had when the kids were younger, and that would definitely stress him out. His whole, you could see like the steam coming out of his ears when there's like all these little parts around, and it was right through the front door, right in our TV room. And now when you open our front door, right in the piano room is a bench press. And Boyd's
Oh,
like,
you got
this
right
is
there
the
now?
most amazing
Right
thing.
there.
Because we gave it to Miles for Christmas, and we're like, oh, we're gonna move it out in the backyard. It's LA, it's great weather, but it's been raining a lot in January, February, March. And then, April and May kind of flew by. You and I, we're all talking, this will be released in June. The bench press is still in our main room. But what I love about it is just the evolution of the family. Like, one day it's an IKEA kitchen set, then it's something else, toys are around, and then ingredients are around. All three of our kids love cooking, and as they've gotten older, they've gotten to be better cooks. It used to be mac and cheese was on the stove. Now it's like these elaborate salmon dishes, or Miles can
Right.
cook himself a steak. And the bench press being in the piano room, it's also fleeting,
Yeah, it
and I
is.
think to what you said earlier, Boyd, like, you're so much better at just allowing the moment to be the moment. And even if it is a chaotic moment, and there are pressures with teenagers, just like there's pressures with babies and there's pressures with early childhood. But to be in the moment means to, flow and move through it and know that nothing lasts forever. And so I've been enjoying the bench press. Boyd and
No.
Miles
I'm
have
glad you
really been
have, yeah.
enjoying the bench press.
But you gotta get that, like, make prison yard vibes. Outside, no shirt.
Yeah, we will
Be
get
the
it
2 of
outside
you out there
eventually.
spotting each other,
That's what it
you
was
know?
supposed to be. And then, yeah, because of the weather, it was like, well, let's just keep it in here for a month. And now it's like you walk in our front door, it's a bench with like a bunch of plates, dumbbells.
Yeah.
It's
your
it's like
statement
that.
piece.
Yeah, it's a statement piece. That and a piano. I'm like, what more do I want? You walk in, you see a bunch of cool
Dude
shit.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a dude room. Do a ballad,
I
do some bench.
Right. Get
I love it so much.
roll and do a ballad. I did notice we have a little workout area, and I went up to George's room the other day, and most of the dumbbells have been moved up to his room now. So I
Yes.
think he's up there just
Oh, yeah.
jack in his room.
Oh yeah, he knows summer's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Bulk
it's
season, as a great man once said. It's bulk season.
well, I was just gonna say, based on what you had finished, it really is about just really letting go and enjoying every single minute because it's so fleeting. It's
Yeah.
moving so fast, and
Yeah.
just I feel very grateful that I have, I think, a very full perspective on the priority of things in my life, and they're at the very top. There's nothing close, including you,
Yeah.
Paige. You're not close.
Yeah.
You're a distant fourth. It's the kids,
That's so weird.
bench,
Bench, piano.
piano, Paige.
It's so not what it seems.
That's tough. Oh, you
Yeah.
wanted the unvarnished truth on your podcast.
That's
There it is.
right.
Oddly, Paige, you're number 2 on my list. I
Nice.
can't
It's my
say that-
calm
not
demeanor
true.
in labor and delivery. That's what did it. Well, I was gonna give a shout out to both of your moms and, say also that I think so much of celebrating your fatherhood and how, Willie, you said earlier, just being around, I think it, more than your dads were around, even though Bill was around, it's just around in a different way. I think it's more than being physically around. I think it's being, so emotionally available and so
Yeah.
open-hearted, and I feel like there's a shout out to the generation before us, the women before us who have opened the door for your dads to be who they were so that you could be who you are. Because one of the reasons I wanted to have you two on and celebrate fatherhood with you is because you are so open-hearted to your children and to your families. And I love being around both of you because you enjoy your kids so much. And
Yeah.
you teach me about parenthood and just being in the moment. Because as Boyd knows, we'll be having this amazing moment. We swim. We have this great pool in our backyard, and it gets really hot here in the summer. And it's so beautiful. It's like it's such a blessing to be in a family and to be in a family who likes each other and gets along. And I'm so grateful for our property and our pool and our house that I almost can't take it in. And I look over at Boyd and he's just totally absorbed in the moment. Like he's so lets all of the joy in. And so and I think you're the same way, Willie, that is such a
Definitely.
gift to your wives and to all the women around who have fathers who are that engaged and husbands who are willing to be that open-hearted. So thanks for being that way.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to have you and Christina. I mean,
Yes.
this is that all comes from you and from you're right, from our mom. So my mom's a social worker, so that open-hearted, let's figure out what's really going on with this person, whether it's a
Yeah.
child or an adult, like that's all in there somewhere. I also think the older you get, the more gratitude comes into play, where
Yeah.
when you're young, you're going 100 miles an hour and you take it all for granted that it's going to be there. And those early years of a child the days feel so long that it feels like it's going to go on forever. Like we were saying
Yeah,
before,
for sure.
then you reach a certain point, you go, whoa, like pull back the reins and slow this down. And to your point, in any small moment, the four of us just be lying in our bed because our kids basically tuck us in now because they're right
We
after us.
Me
we
too.
all tuck Boyd in. I mean, Boyd is done at 9
Literally,
p.m.
Lucy like came in last night and laid
The
between us.
best.
Cat, and we're like, can we just go to bed? But like even that moment, I like you, I just like sit there. I'm like, this is great. And part of that is because I
Yeah.
feel the tick-tock of,
Yeah.
another year before they go off to college. But also I feel like you guys feel. We're so lucky to have this happy, healthy family that loves being around each other. And our
Yeah.
kids, they give us crap, but in a funny way. And we don't have a lot of the strife that you hear about. Teenagers are so awful and they don't talk to their parents and all that. And I get that, and that happens, but it's not our experience. And I think a lot of that is a credit to the way Christina especially like parented them at a young age, and there's mutual respect. They respect us and we respect them. We give them their space. They respect our rules. And above all, we just have fun together. So we're just, like you said, Paige, it is such a gift. We're so lucky to have kids in these families. And the older you get, the more you appreciate it. And the
Yes.
more you feel like they're going to go on to exciting new things that don't rely on you all the time. And that's going to
Yeah.
be hard to accept.
Yeah.
That it's, but that's what you built them for the
Right.
18 years from the moment you brought them home in the hospital in that car seat. You built them so that they could do it on their own, and they're about to.
And Boyd's going to show up in the college dorm and be like, guys,
Best pals. Here we
orange
go.
flavored vodka Courant and the new Billie Eilish album.
I think you meant Absolute Courant.
Yeah,
which is
Absolute
my
Courant.
favorite. Top drawer under the socks if you're ever looking for it.
Totally.
We've been threatening. Lucy will mention a school she likes, and I'll just send her like Trulia listings because we're going to get an apartment wherever she goes to college, just for drop in.
Yeah.
Hey kiddo, you want to grab lunch? So she's not telling us where she wants to go to school, so we don't buy an apartment.
God,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
exactly.
That's a little better than I just say we're just going to get a 3-bedroom place.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're all
yeah.
Just the
move
three
the
of
whole
us.
operation.
We're going to
Yeah.
get like whether it's in the dorm. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the logistics there,
Yeah.
but either a 3-bedroom suite in the dorms, or I'll get us a house for the 3 of us.
Yeah, some of the more progressive norms, I think, are letting dads live it. Yeah, some of those schools, they're real open-minded.
Yeah,
about
they
stuff.
should.
It's a whole new evolution of
How
things.
Boy in
amazing.
his Adidas shower shoes walking down the hallway. Hey, girls.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gals?
no.
Don't go in there for a bit.
Oh,
That's
God,
no.
terrifying.
Your
Oh.
dad is here still.
Is
Yeah,
he
he thinks
visiting again? No, he lives here.
he lives here. He thinks we're best friends.
The first man you'll ever meet and the last man you'll ever see.
The last man to leave.
The last man to leave. Last
Oh,
man
God.
standing. Girls, hey, it's me. It's me. Hi, girls.
Hey.
Remember me from day one?
Yeah. Oh, it's like a bad movie.
Yeah.
Like we started our
You
own
know what?
university where we get to live there too.
Yeah, I think that might be a crime now that we're talking through it a little bit. I think what we're describing is a crime. Oh, God. You guys.
Thank y'all so much. I feel like I could talk to y'all for 3 hours. It's so, so fun and beautiful, and I just love you both so much.
We love you,
you,
Paige.
Paige.
Love you, Boydo.